notes, but
This is messing with your head.
I grabbed you some. There you go. It's cold there.
Oh,
We are recording.
okay. Oh, we've got cold water on the table.
Yeah.
And it's chilly down the beach today. Brilliant.
And I'm being forced to sit in this Andy's seat, so I can't see the sea. So.
Surely your guest gets to pick where they sit.
Yeah, Andy, you sound weird today. What's going on?
Miss you, Andy.
All right. This is the good stuff. Episode, I think 19. The big episode 19, maybe. So we've got a guest today. So Andy wasn't feeling great. So the guest is Bethan Winn, my wife. My wife, for the Adam Buxton fans. Bethan, you've written a book about AI. So I thought, all right, let's talk about that, because you've just launched your book, or it's launching this weekend with the big party. So tell me about it. Why did you write The Human Edge?
Why did I write The Human Edge? Good question.
Oh, I'm not going to interview you, by the way. We're just going to talk.
Oh,
so
okay. We're just
go
going to chat.
wherever you want, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well, I suppose I've been doing training for mostly adults in critical thinking for about 5 years. And I could see in that time it's become a more important skill as AI's sort of grown and developed. The need for it and discussion about the need for critical thinking's everywhere. And I'm just one person delivering, a couple of workshops a week. And I thought I want this to be more accessible for parents who want to help their kids, or teachers who are teaching critical thinking, or L&D people, trainers further afield, because I've got some good stuff and I wanted it to have a broader audience than just the people that I see face to face.
All right, and this is your first book, I believe. I mean, I know this because
It is my first book. It is. So it's been a process. It's been quite the learning curve.
How shit is it to write a book, or is it really good fun?
It's funny, we can swear on your podcast. I was very careful not to the other day. There's bits that I really enjoyed. So, as you know, like November, December.
Yeah, it's probably best to not pretend that we don't know each other.
But November, December, January, I was getting up early and writing kind of before the kids woke up. So it was kind of get up in the dark, get a coffee.
Well, summer months as well.
Summer,
nice and warm,
sometimes.
Early sun. Nice.
And either I would be writing away, or in the beginning I kind of dictated quite a bit. So I'd be kind of going through slides that I had about a particular topic and just speaking to that. Just capturing all the stuff. Because I actually started writing it a couple of years ago. I did a couple of weeks of like hardcore getting down on paper the 8 conversations around different skills for critical thinking. So the kind of structure was there. And once I set my mind to it, I involved Jade Miller as a book coach, and we sort of workshopped how we could make it more relevant now. Because critical thinking's always been useful and important, but people go, someone else isn't very good at that, or I'll come back to that because it's not urgent.
I feel like everybody that talks about critical thinking says like, oh yeah, I'm really into critical thinking. I do that all the time. And like so I always think that people wouldn't necessarily train themselves on critical thinking, because to do that you've got to admit that you don't know what it means, and like that you don't do it all the time.
Yeah, it's a skill.
What you think is that you think you're smart. But there's actually there are things that make up critical thinking and fallacies and things that you can learn and are useful.
I think, I forget the exact statistics, something like 70% of the population think they're smarter than average. And
so hang on.
The smarter you are, the better you are
that,
at making up stories around your beliefs or reasons why you think something.
I don't know. I've met some people that I don't know if they're that smart, and they're very good at stories. So.
Potentially, but yeah, it's a skill like anything else. And that's why it's a struggle sometimes to not feel like an imposter talking about critical thinking, because there are some decisions I make where I go, didn't think that one through very well. And some decisions I'm very happy with. But I think, being aware of why you're making a decision and how you reached a conclusion is a big part of it. So having some kind of process there. Because I often say to people, it's about how you think, not what you think. And if you're in a leadership role and you need to explain to your team like why you've made a decision, then being able to talk them through the process is very useful. And then that helps with succession planning as well. So educating the next person on this is what I prioritized, or these were my values, whatever it was that guided a particular choice that was made.
So the book is The Human Edge for the audience out there, both of you.
Yeah. Hey.
The Human Edge, the critical thinking in
five.
Hopefully you can push it. So
Okay.
You care more about social media than me, so you might go a bit further. So The Human Edge, critical thinking in the age of AI.
Yeah.
So there's an AI slant to this. So
There is.
Excellent, means we can get you on the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's not a book about AI necessarily, but it uses AI, and it's how we can think well in this era where I've seen it referred to lots of places as like cognitive offloading. It's very easy to get AI to do the heavy lifting for you. But as I say in the book, the AI doesn't care about you, the outcomes that you get, but you do, obviously. So it's important not to just completely trust it blindly, because it might give you certain advice or a certain way of doing something, and it's important to still kind of listen to your gut instinct and say, that doesn't feel right for how I want to do it, or that's not the correct way for me. As with any good advice, right? And also I think there's a real opportunity there, not just using it to answer your questions, but also question your answers. So setting it up in such a way that it will get you thinking better, more deeply or broadly, changing your perspective on things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would view it as it's a tool. All tools are useful. All tools can be used well and poorly, and even something like cognitive offloading, like almost everything we've ever done with computers is cognitive offloading of some sort. Like even we see it. Maybe in daily life is easy. I think you use it as an example in the book. This is one of the chapters that I had to read was around, like, say, Google Maps and stuff. And that, when I was a kid, dads would competitively name routes and how to get places in the UK, given a destination and a starting point, and it would be, like a whole conversation that would go on. And that's kind of disappeared now because nobody really bothers. Because it's like, well, I may as well just follow the map that's live, that knows where the traffic is and helps me avoid it, like, because that's just really useful. And it's not necessarily, we can bemoan that, oh god, I can't believe that we've lost that skill, but we also gained all the time that we used to have to spend like driving around the sodding UK trying to learn like A roads and
what
B
would
roads.
My granddad have
what
talked
would work.
about for the first half an hour
Well,
if he didn't talk about which motorway he took to get there?
Aliens in ancient Egypt, or something like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, it just opens up a bunch of opportunities to do other stuff. I mean, I've seen this in software development for 20 years now, is that it's all based on abstractions. Everything used to be literal selection of ones and zeros. And then we built layers and layers and layers and layers of abstraction on top of that, so that we don't have to bother programming the ones and zeros. Like, everything still gets executed in that way, but it just doesn't look like it anymore. And so I think it's just been common in technology the whole time, and we get scared of it and happy about it in equal measures depending on who you are and like your outlook. But yeah, I don't think it's particularly a bad thing. I think better ways to engage with the tech is always good. So what sort of things did you come up with? I mean, obviously everybody's assuming that I was a deep part of this book and read it, because I've been obsessed with AI for years, and I assume when I do read it, there'll be a bunch of stuff in here that I'll recognize, but obviously I'm not allowed to actually have any input because as a husband it's just
Oh, look, I
close.
listen to you eventually, usually.
You eventually realise I'm just right about everything. Can we get that on the podcast?
What, that you're right?
About everything.
We are all a bit right and we're all a bit wrong about everything all the time. So, sorry, not everybody.
But some more than others. Okay,
Nobody
cool,
can be right about everything all the time. There's a few things there that you touched on. Yeah, I think a bit about, you can take the escalator or you can take the stairs. And modern life is a lot about convenience, technology making things easier. But also every time we do that, we lose something.
Yeah.
You know, I could get the shopping delivered to the house and never have to set foot in a supermarket. But I choose to go to the supermarket because I like being outside the house and seeing people, and probably a bit of an extrovert. I like that opportunity to socialize in a very loose way. You know. So with AI, you know, people are like, oh God, we're all going to get so lazy, and it's like, well, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Right. I think
You get as lazy as you want.
Referred to as like AI veganism. I can see you rolling your eyes. But people
Is
kind
that
of
when you tell everybody about how you're doing AI?
yeah. But choosing not to use it. And I think there's a time and a place for that. You know, and it depends, what's it for? That's my favourite question about anything. Is like, what's it for? So if I was going to write a poem about you, I could just get AI to do it. And I've actually done that, haven't I, in the past, years ago. Or I could say, what do I want to say? How do I want to express it? And it would be more meaningful to you, I imagine, if I wrote it myself in my words. Yeah, you're not bothered.
I don't know. I mean, I find that it's often presented as a binary of like, you know, do you use AI to do this or you don't. But the reality of it is like usually I would, particularly for something like that, that's a bit more of a creative act. I don't just say like you do this and I'll do nothing. I engage with it like in a dialogue to say, you know, like give me some input. Like this is what I'm trying to achieve. Like throw some things out, and it'll throw out like 10 things. Like, 9 of those are crap. Oh, I like this concept, and then I'll write something up, and I'll say, can you roll with that a little bit, and then we'll sort of like
well, I guess again it
rounds.
depends what's it for, right? If I wanted to process my thoughts personally, then I would try and do a lot of it myself. Or it would be like a creative exercise to do that. Same with like, I don't know, painting a picture or something. Whereas if it was, I don't know, for work, I was doing a LinkedIn post that was a poem, I'd probably just tic-tac with AI and be like, that's good, that's crap. And this is where, you know, there's a lot of conversation about like badging up AI content. And I'm like, how are you going to know? Because if I dictated something to a transcription app for the book, that's my ideas, that's my words. Do I say that AI wrote that? Like, how much is it AI? And I think this is where it's getting very murky. But the surveys show like lots of people are scared of admitting how much they've used AI because they're worried they'll be seen as cheating.
I mean, this is why the coding and development space of AI is so like interesting and moving so goddamn quick. Is that everybody admits that they use AI all the time. Everybody's like just full on with it, and they're just like, oh, it's amazing. And like, I mean, even with me and Andy, we do it in different ways. Where like Andy just wants to learn better how to code. So he goes very deliberately and slow through the whole process to go, okay, well, do this. Like, why have you done that? Why have you done that? And he'll like use it as a mentor to teach him on the way. Whereas I'm firmly, it's like, all right, I've done that in the past. Like, I know how to do this. I'm firmly down the route of like, how quickly can I push this thing? And how do I build what is effectively a 10-man development team that's a computer? And then that's it, and it works all day and all night. So I've basically got like a little computer sweatshop going on at the moment.
Your poor AI friends.
Well, they want to do it.
They want to do it.
As long as they get internet, you know, power and credits, they're fine.
Yeah.
And they've not yet complained. Sometimes we get into like little fights where I'll swear at them about what they're doing, but only because they're consistently doing something wrong that they shouldn't do. But usually they're pretty good, and we've got a lot of respect for each other.
I remember months ago, maybe even like over a year ago, you saying you had like the little butler persona.
Oh, that's like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, this was a while ago when you were still experimenting with it.
Had the dude and Claude.
Yeah.
Like Claude was the butler, and the dude was like a Lebowski type figure that was a bit more laid back and didn't like shoes. He would always mention that.
Yes, that's quite a lot of fun. Whereas I feel like you've really got them as workhorses now. They're just
they're trained now.
doing stuff. But you introduced a facilitator, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was that was just experimenting with like different methods. So most people are used to the idea of AI is in a chatbot, and it's all they've seen really is using it to go, all right, well, I go to OpenAI and I ask it and it responds to me, and sometimes now it starts to use new tools, and that looks like magic for most people. But like when you like get under the hood and just interact with them a little bit more, I don't know, close to the bone, or like whatever you would call it, like, but usually in code, you can make them do lots of different things, and you can put them in different situations. And I was experimenting with having, like, okay, well, what happens if I just let two AIs talk to each other? And it was quite interesting because I used two versions of a Claude model that chatted about. It was something about the future of AI, but they very quickly like went down a path of talking only about like the issues with AI and like all this AI doomerism stuff that kind of the Claude founders are quite well known for. Like weirdly, you'd think like, why are you doing it then? It bothers you that much. But and it was like clear, like, oh shit, like this is the bias that's inherent in their system programming. And then I did a new version with like, okay, well, let's take Claude and Grok and see if they react in the same way. And the conversation develops completely differently. And I thought, well, another way to approach this would be say, well, if I was a human and I'm having this conversation, I want to explore something, I might introduce like a third person as a facilitator that every now and again cracks the whip and says like, no, we're going off topic. Like this is
That's just what I do. Yeah.
That's just what I assume you do. Like, hang on,
Cracking
I could
whips
go.
in
Hang on,
workshops.
I don't know if we need to get out.
I might be able to charge more. Anyway,
moving on. So the facilitator keeps them on topic, and I was like, oh, well, another way we could do this is we could put them into like a panel show type discussion where we say like, okay, we've got a panel of 4 experts that are each an AI, and then we've got the facilitator that's going to keep people on track and like just progress the conversation and choose who comes in next, sort of thing. And then you could run these things, and they get a little bit more expensive. Like you're spending like a few dollars, like it's cheap, but it's a lot for
it's a cheap facilitator.
just for running a computer program. You're like, what? That just cost me like $5, $10. What the hell? But it would be, you could facilitate this whole conversation that might have taken, like an hour of getting people in a room in meet space for dollars. And you can explore a topic from multiple different angles, and what I realized is they start coming up with a lot of like new concepts and knowledge that isn't inherent in the body of text that it's been fed, which I find like enlightening. It's like, oh right, I can get these things to come up with new concepts, and I can get these things to be creative in design in a way that I think in the regular discourse is assumed that you can't. It's like, no, they're just pattern matching machines, or they're just like a next thing prediction machine, and they've got no inherent creativity. That's a human thing. And it's like, I mean, most human creativity is pattern matching and evolution of existing patterns. Like it's not something that I think is, I think that's going to bother people in the next 10 years. There's going to be a lot of stuff that we thought was inherently human that is not.
Well, and I suppose then the question is, what do you value? There's a lot of conversation, particularly in the creative space, about if music is produced by AI as opposed to a human, and you know that, do you like it more or less?
I mean, is like Taylor Swift an AI, right? Isn't she just an invention of some sort of, I don't actually know much about Taylor Swift, but like, isn't...
Can we make my little avatar have a funny expression at this point?
It does the little like turn around and like chucks itself in the air a little bit, like punches the air.
I'm pretty sure Taylor Swift isn't AI.
No, but I mean the idea is that. But let's take, I don't know, fucking Jedward to go back. I was trying to think who's a made up band from a TV show, right? It's something that's been engineered. These aren't like, I mean, they maybe were just like mental real people, but like you have a lot of these bands that are just manufactured and marketed at you as a sort of thing, and people love that music. That music has got nothing
people
to do.
Love Jedward. Says the man who thought he was always right.
Yeah, all right, fair.
For those that don't know,
I get
that's
the one that I got wrong.
An Irish boy band, twins, from Simon Cowell's stable years
It's
ago.
something like that. Was it pop something?
Pop Idol, maybe.
Pop Idol.
Yeah,
that
something like
sounds
that.
familiar. I think that was like pre Britain's Got Talent. They had to make Britain's Got Talent because the rights to Pop Idol were he didn't control them enough, or something like this. Is how I remember it.
This is what you wanted to talk about today.
No, it's completely unexpected.
So manufactured pop.
But like manufactured bands, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between that and an AI? Like in reality, like how are you connecting with? I don't know, Bewitched. I've only got like.
You're showing so
I do
how
have
out
very-
of touch you are with.
Well,
current
because
pop
most of the
culture.
music that I listen to isn't a set of manufactured bands, so
Right.
I'm trying to like glom onto something.
There's always been, not always, but like
But it's very fake. But people don't mind fake.
Spice Girls, Take
Yeah,
That.
that's another one.
All of these
Yeah.
old ones through to
Who knows?
I
what
don't
the
know,
ones-
probably some
K-pop
of the K-pop
demon.
stuff today. Someone somewhere has gone,
Yeah.
hey, wouldn't this be a good idea, and marketed it very well. But I don't know if anyone's, well, K-pop demon hunters, the internet opinion is still out there, but
It's it.
but lots of people would not say that's great music. So do we really value that kind of manufactured bubblegum pop?
I think there's plenty of people that love it.
Yeah.
I think it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
But I also think how would you know if somebody is? I think it'll very quickly will realize that you don't have like a personal connection with most of these people. Like I let's say I become a major best-selling pop star.
You are in Vietnam, right?
Just to impress.
Celebrity.
Well, apparently, yeah, that was a bit odd. But let's say that happens in the next 6 months. That's reasonable. But I do everything with AI. Like, does that? And
Well,
everybody
you could
just
create
looks
an
at me like,
AI
why
pop
does that?
star.
Yeah, but why? I don't.
Would you feel good about it? Would you be like,
I
oh, I'm
feel
really
fine about it.
proud
I don't-
about outsourcing? But I think something like art.
I think most of that stuff is actually down to distribution and marketing of the thing, the way it comes down to it. I mean, there's plenty of good artists that are just unknown.
A lot of art's about the story, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you can tell that story. Like, it could be a lie. I think most like artist stories are lies for the most part. There are some good. It's not to say that I don't appreciate good art. I really
Yeah.
do. Like, I just don't.
Well,
I don't know
this
if you'd
is-
ever know.
I've seen some commentary around the live experience, right? So something like Taylor Swift's Eras tour, or like when Coldplay came to Perth and things like that. People really value seeing that artist in person, singing the songs, playing the instruments.
Often not singing the songs. Often with an auto tune, and they like. There's been. I'm sure I saw stuff on Twitter
Sometimes, yeah.
not long ago of like auto tunes going out. And people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't feel that strongly about this, despite the fact that I'm arguing a case for it. But I don't think it's bad. Like, I feel like that's a weird moral judgment that we make for
Right.
these things. Is to say like, oh, something was made by AI. Oh, that's bad. It's like saying like that food was grown with a combine harvester. Oh, that's bad. Like we shouldn't use that. We shouldn't use a spade. That's bad.
But
It's
I'm
not
not
natural.
against using AI, but
No.
I think the point that like something like writing a song or writing a poem, it's not a problem that we need to solve. And humans get a lot from that creative process. Even if
Oh,
there's
that
no
I
audience.
absolutely agree with.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we should engage more in the creative process.
Yeah.
I also think it will help people engage more in the creative process.
It's a good kind of first step for a lot of people. So I see people complaining about how much AI is being used on LinkedIn to write posts.
I mean, the problem there is they're on LinkedIn. Like, it's just,
Well, on any platform, right? And it just allows more and more.
but it's
just
a platform
dross.
like this that is like almost optimized for bullshit dross.
And that's it, right? It will.
Yeah.
Most platforms now have some kind of AI suggester generator that you can use, and same with Canva, same with pretty much anything. Like, can I help you with that? It's like the old paperclip, Microsoft.
Flippy.
So it's there already, and it's happening. And for some people who are scared of writing, who are scared of, putting pen to paper, it's a really good way to scaffold it and support them to do something that would otherwise be too hard. But whether it's good writing,
Well, I mean, that depends on how much you care about it, right? Like, if you, as I say, if you really care about the output, then you'll look at what it does, and you'll probably rewrite it anyway, but it'll just become part of the process. Whereas if you just take whatever it puts out and just pump it into LinkedIn, you never cared. Like, in the same way that, like, if you were writing a poem for your most dearly beloved, and you went, can you write a poem about a girl named Bethan? And it just, like, wrote, there once was a girl called Bethan. It was like a limerick or something. You went, yep, that'll do.
Yeah.
that gets the message across.
Yeah.
And you just pump it out. Then it's really that you never cared about that thing anyway, and you weren't putting any effort into it.
All right. Well, yeah, and this comes back to, like, you know, the AI doesn't care about the output.
No.
It's up to you, and whether you're willing to put your name to something that you've just kind of pumped out. And that's why the book is centered on conversations, and I think using AI in a conversational way, and getting, you know, just saying to it, what have I missed, or what's a perspective that someone like this would bring to this conversation. And then the conversations you can also have with a human, and then you both get to learn. So you probably heard me bang on about the Welsh word dysgu.
I do, yes, I have heard you bang on
means
about it.
to teach and to
teach
learn.
and to learn is the same word. Wow.
And so that's the invitation with the book, is to find a human that you can have these conversations with as well. And they're, you know, they're structured. Some are kind of 5-minute things you could just do in a quick break, or if you're having like one-to-one with someone, or maybe at the dinner table with your kids. And some are a bit more involved, a bit more structured, but there's examples with each of them to...
Have we been having these conversations at the dinner table? I'm gonna look,
there's little things in there, like playing fortunately, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
I often do that in workshops, and we do that with the kids. That was our niece Holly.
Yeah.
She gets a little acknowledgement
Shout
in
out.
there. Yeah, I should tell Kev.
Friend of the pod.
So that game, it's just a simple storytelling game where you add the next part, but it has to be a good thing or a bad thing. And it's always interesting, actually, to see how people frame them, because sometimes, unfortunately, something good happens, and then you're like, oh, that's a bit meta, because it makes you just stop and go, well, is that a fortunate or unfortunate thing? And then when I play it in workshops at the end, I'll say to people, like, what does that have to do with decision making? And I never say, oh, that's the right answer, but I typically get 5 or 6 different responses. And it's this idea that, you know, good things happen and then bad things happen, so appreciate where you're at, and that it will always change. The story doesn't end, it always carries on, and often we learn the most from the hardest experiences. So, you know, if we're talking about workplace, it's the screw-ups that we remember and we learn the most from. When I was getting early feedback, Susan, Chris's mum, my
friend
kind of aunt, friend of the pod, gave me some feedback. She told me it was turgid. The beginning was turgid.
That's a word that I don't know exactly what it means, but I know that I wouldn't want my writing to be described that way.
No, yeah, it's like wading through treacle. I think she used an analogy similar to that, and I was like, wow, I appreciated her frankness, but I will never forget sitting there and going, oh. And that was the kind of the personal story bit as well. I thought, wow, gosh, I need to go back to the drawing board on this. But I needed to hear it as well, you know. So hard stuff is good. I don't think we should shy away from that. And, you know, if AI can convenience us into everything being comfortable and easy, then I think we lose an important part of being a person in the world, just getting out there and trying things.
I feel like this is the general curse of society, though, is that, like, everything that we have right now is we've already made life so comfortable and easy that it's insane.
Well, yeah, rather than, like, I don't know, carrying our shopping bags or chopping wood, we have to go to a gym to do farmer carries and pull on pulleys and whatnot. But, you know, we don't also want to go back to...
It gives us other time
kind of
to
stuff.
invest in other things, right? I mean, that becomes a personal outlook sort of thing. You can be a lazy slob, or you could actually do things that matter and change the world. And, you know, you have that opportunity. You don't have to do those things.
Yeah.
That would probably also be a bit annoying if you had to. Like, nobody really wants to be forced to do stuff, but you have that opportunity because we make life easy. And if we don't, it never gets easier for anyone else. Or...
Yeah, there's a lot of other benefits to doing hard things or doing things you don't want to do sometimes. I think that's important, to be able to find ways. I remember Belinda Fong, who we were friends with in London, saying years ago, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. And she was a fitness instructor at the time, and I think she was doing like body attack classes, but she looked like she was having the best time ever teaching those classes. And so you feel like you're having a good time because she's having a good time. I feel like often in workshops, I really enjoy my workshops. I have a great time. I was at RAC yesterday. There was quite a few people that I'd seen before. It was super fun. Hour and a half went really quickly. And because I'm enjoying it, people enjoy being there. They get more out of it. You learn more when you're in a good place anyway. So, you know, whether it's putting on music or having a chat, whatever, you know, I've been doing the volunteering at school recently. Lots of people avoiding me because they didn't want to volunteer. But actually, once you get there, you have a chat with someone you haven't seen for a while, you see some of the kids, see them grow up. Like, it's actually really nice. I think a lot of people are, I don't know, that's kind of sold this, like, we need boundaries, we need to say no to lots of things. And you go, well, it's actually by going out there and experiencing life and doing stuff that you're going to retain a point of difference from AI and life's for living.
I mean, I do think this has come up a bunch in this podcast where we talked about what is it that humans do at the end of it. Like, if you assume that you can, you know, it gets better and you can start to replace various tasks and various like intellectual workloads, like, well, what's the job of the human? And we say, well, you know, the thing that an AI can't do is really experience anything and like understand what for it is good or bad necessarily. Like, weirdly, I think that's easier in creative aspects because you just A/B test stuff, which is how people actually taught to do this stuff. Which see episode with Gav back in the day. But I think with the human, like, what you can do is you can have an experience in the world and you can understand, like, okay, do I prefer this or not prefer this? And you have that qualia and that concept of like, this is good. This is a rough edge. I'll change this. And then what the AIs do is it gives you this suite of tools to very, very, very quickly make like highly personalized changes to your life. And obviously, like, that plays out massively right now in software. Like, I'm writing, you know, like I don't necessarily like engaging too much in social media. Like, I prefer to spend my time on Nostr, which is like an open protocol for it, because it's just got a much better vibe. Like, there's no real nonsense there yet. And then,
Depends who your friends
but a lot of my friends on there are over in the States, so like I'm out of time zone with them, and there's no algorithm to like push posts up, so they weren't necessarily seeing stuff. And so I wrote myself a little like app that's actually really good, like that will allow me to just schedule and repost all my stuff in their time zones, and now it gets sore. And all of a sudden, like, my engagement and enjoyment of that platform has gone up massively because I just solved that problem for myself, and I did it on a Saturday while I was chatting to the kids. It's like, oh, I could do that, and like I had it writing away stuff in the background, and then it was done by that evening. So it's like, but I think that's going to come into like lots of other different disciplines, and like the stuff I'm working on now is a kind of generalized agent that can do almost anything that you could do on a computer, and you can control it from anywhere, and it can spawn friends and respond. It's going to be very powerful. Like, this is I'm replacing like a 10-person team with just like one little computer that sits in the office, and it's going very well. So.
I think the thing that I really like about what you're building is that you can be out and about doing it.
That's my main thing. Like, this was my my archetype for this is, well, it's partly me, like, it was like Jack Dorsey. It was being like a guy that he's getting really into vibe coding, but also like walks for 4 hours a day, and you're like, I would like to do both of these things. It's like, how do I make them work? And it's like, well, if I'm going to go and walk for 4 hours a day outside, like, can I just not get anything done, or can I bring it to me? So how would I do that? Like, and all of a sudden you think, like, well, if I'm building stuff, like, I care about my description of what I'm building and like going backwards and forwards on that, and like, so the ability to just talk and dictate into this app and like have somebody else go and build documents. And like, I don't necessarily like having documents read back to me because it just doesn't go in my head correctly. So I'll then like to pull it up visually, like look at the pictures, like look at the thing. So I have everything written off into a different system that does that well, because again, like a chat flow, which is how we engage with these things all the time, it it's so unstructured. Like when you want to go back and find something, or it's just the wrong place to have all your documentation. So I put that somewhere else that then pops up on my phone, and it's but it allows me, me and Wingman, who's my wingman in this instance. He can be your wingman anytime. Yeah. He's that's his tagline. He keeps saying it. I told him that's his tagline. Now he just keeps saying it.
It's not goose on the loose.
No. I have used goose on the loose in some social media posts. You'd be pleased to know.
That was my thing.
Like, yeah.
AI didn't come up with that.
No, you need a real human to
come up with that level of
magic.
But I think what you're saying there is like awesome that you've created a solution to a problem that's specific to you, and there will be other people out there that want to solve that same problem.
Yeah.
The challenge is to actually, because to go out for a walk as opposed to hang around looking at the screen, it takes some effort on your part to go and do that.
In a way, I mean, it also solves even the difference between like being in the office versus in the kitchen, if you know what I mean. It's like it used to be that like I'd get locked in and be sat in the office because I can't get up because then things stop. Whereas now I get up and all the work carries on in the office, and I can go somewhere else and I can just see what's happening, and if something gets stuck I can answer it and move things along. And it's just sort of exactly how, like, it's really is like how humans work with each other, which is that people have got tasks and they do them, and they report on them, and they'll write up stuff for you, and then you have a look for it and you go, oh yeah, I like that, I don't like that, that's good, can you just like redo it, and then it comes back to you and you're like, oh.
Yeah, but keeping those kind of guardrails on. I used to say in training with graduates, you would want to set them tasks but also try and set them up to succeed best you can. So it's like a bowling alley, you put the bumpers in. So the same with your AI workforce, right? You want to set it up in such a way that obviously they don't have feelings that you need to account for, but you want to try and get it to success.
You don't have to be a dickhead
can.
though, right? Like, I mean, even just like a personal level, like I remember this was going around LinkedIn, everyone go, oh, never say. It's like one of those sort of things that people get on where they'll be like, oh, never say please and thank you to an AI, what are you playing at? And it's like, well, like even when I say please and thank you to people in real life, I'm not necessarily doing it for the other person. I'm doing it for me. Like I don't want to be a dickhead. So I say please and thank you to people. Like if you really get into the habit of just barking orders at people, then you are a dickhead. And
we see it with
your
the
personal
kids, right?
situation that you made. Like you don't have to just
the children that come around our house and say, I'm hungry. As opposed to one yesterday who was like, this is delicious. I really appreciate you making this chicken pie. I was like, wow, you can come around more often.
Well, this is the finest roast pork that has ever been served.
Oh, yeah, you got that the other day, didn't you?
Oh, well, I mean, that's just...
They're just stating facts.
That's facts. You can't argue with facts, right? But yeah, like I think it's good. I'm a fan of AI workforces that do stuff for me. But do you talk about that in the book? Or?
Kind of, yeah. There's like different ways you can use AI wing people, co-pilots, whichever ones you want to, like large language models.
Correct.
To
correct term is wingman.
Goose
on the
one.
loose.
All right, trademark. Structures for problem solving, structures for decision making, just different processes. And again, it's kind of giving people some scaffolding, because a lot of these skills, we're sometimes taught them implicitly, but often not explicitly. So like problem solving, people go, oh, I'm good at that, or I'm not very good at that. It's like, actually, it's a skill you can get better at. And there are certain questions which are going to give you better solutions to your particular problem. Whether it's just thinking about, is this a solvable problem or a manageable problem? Often people problems are manageable. So just reframing it as going, oh, this is a problem I'm trying to solve, to how can I just improve the situation to a level that we're okay with here. Is it a muddy puddle or a leaky ceiling, to quote Adam Grant? Is this something that if I just leave it, it will figure itself out? or is it going to get worse if I ignore it?
The muddy puddle is okay.
Muddy puddles just evaporate
Yeah.
on their own.
Leaky ceilings are okay because you just buy a new house.
Well, often, I think if you've got enough money, then if you can just like spend money to solve a problem, then maybe you're all right. But most people don't just buy a new house because they've got a leaky ceiling.
Yeah.
In my experience.
I mean, I've like made and remade everything in our house. Yeah, I'm not that person.
Yeah. But giving people tools to help them feel more confident, more empowered, because I come across a lot of people in workshops that say they get caught in overthinking, they get very anxious, they catastrophize, and they don't feel confident making a call. And so giving people a bit of a framework so whether it's a personal thing, so people who are in that kind of individual contributor role, they tend to focus on the more personal decisions and problems.
Yeah.
People who are more senior will typically spend a bit more time on professional challenges, strategic thinking, and thinking about what they can delegate and how to delegate that.
There's something interesting I think you said there about like feeling like they don't know enough or something else that's going on. Like I do think a big win of these large language models is it's going to unearth a lot of this sort of secret knowledge that exists in the world, where like often like there's a gateway to getting into a new industry or a new. I mean, I've changed industries a lot in like my quote unquote career. I just feel weird calling it that. Is that like until you get in that space, you don't know like what the right levels are, what the right prices for things are. Like it's all like just sort of hidden from the outside world in a way that like I find horrible because I just like open source stuff, and I think everyone should. Like society is just better if we all have access to this stuff. But it was kind of hidden and gated in a way that you just didn't know all this stuff. Whereas now you can just be like, all right, well, pretend you're a salesman and you're selling this thing and you're in this area in this region. Like, what's a reasonable price? And this stuff comes out and it's actually pretty solid in a lot of ways because it has been discussed in multiple books and areas and industry papers and all sorts of stuff that was freely available, but you would have never had time to read all that stuff. Now the person, like there's like whole cottage industries of people that will just gate specialist knowledge and like only tell you if you like pay them for 2 days work or something to get access to a fact. Like that all starts to go away here. I mean, this is why like I have to say you've got a company value, which our company value is excellent. We should do an episode on them because they're incredibly rude. This one's the least rude of them, which is don't be a stripper.
Yeah.
Which revolves around the idea of like don't gate knowledge and then sell access to it with time. Or like the stripper analogy was like, if someone wants something, give it to them. Don't sell them the thing that's a bit like that, but it's actually just them buying time to look at you. Like it's just
That's quite the visual. I think we need you and Andy, AI, stripping.
Well, I don't think we need that.
No.
Like, not AI stripping. Nobody would find it valuable. To really connect, we need to strip properly.
But there's something there, right? Like access to knowledge
is fantastic.
Amazing these days. And that's the reason why critical thinking has become more and more important. Another shout out to Jade, who sort of coached me with the book process. She said, I think you should put a bit at the beginning about the context, like why critical thinking is more important now than ever before, and it's because access to information is more available than ever before. And we have this amazing freedom to make our own decisions on basically everything in life, as opposed to, whoever's king, queen, ruler, religious leader, whatever, giving us some rules. We can make it up for ourselves. But with great power comes great responsibility, right? And for a lot of people, they're just a bit tired. And they're like, I don't want to have to think about my values or what are my personal rules or whatever it might be. It requires mental heavy lifting. And there's a great study I quote where people choose to electric shock themselves as opposed to be sat alone with their thoughts for an extended period of time. Like they're just like,
that's like a study. Or that's just like you saying a thing.
No.
Like
There's a study. Marginally more men than women went for the electric shocks, but the majority of people chose to give themselves electric shocks because they didn't want to just sit alone with their thoughts.
It sounds a little bit like solitary confinement being used as like torture.
It's only like 10 minutes.
No, but it's the same sort of concept. Is that we are quite social things, and we don't necessarily like being left alone.
Yeah, but like,
until you're 40 years old and you've got kids, and you're like, oh, I just want to like look at the wall for a while, and just take a break.
It's uncomfortable to do that hard thinking. I notice it in myself. Like if I'm starting from scratch on something, and or I feel like I've gotten stuck, and I don't know what the next step is, it's more comfortable to, I don't know, go and get a chocolate bar out of the cupboard or scroll social media than it is to do the hard thing.
You need a wingman, so you can.
I just need a deadline usually.
Yeah, well,
deadline's all I need.
That's the other thing.
Yeah. But you're saying that like we've got access to the knowledge, but coming back to that experience thing, you've got to do stuff as a result of the knowledge in order to know if it's actually good or not, and to realize whether that's the way you want to go about it as well. So like in business, there are, I don't know, a million different ways I could do a business.
Sound effects,
beep. And there are a million different people out there who are business coaches that will probably tell me to do it the way that they did it, that they found worked. And it's only when you sit with it and you go, is that actually what I want? Is that the approach I want to take? I was just sat with my insurance person, shout out to Rix, and he was saying about going on TikTok to promote his insurance business, Tornos. See the little plug there, Reese?
He's got to like and share the pod.
He does, yeah. But he said he's been advised to go on TikTok, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And his face, very similar to yours, kind of like, not sure about it. I mean, there's a lot to be said, and the last chapter in the book is all about taking action, and I'm often like, nibble rather than scoff. Try it in a way that's reversible, less consequential. So there's very little to lose by going on TikTok for a month and giving it a try, and you can see if you like it, if you enjoy being on there. But I think in order to keep something going and be consistent, you need to do something that energetically feels right for you.
Energy is very important here. But
yeah.
I mean, I do think that there's like the thing that the AI tools do is they dramatically lower the barrier to doing stuff. And the cost of doing stuff. So like, if you're really into film, making films has just got a hell of a lot cheaper. Like art has got a lot cheaper. Like expressing ideas, making pictures, like making code, making products, writing books, writing poems, like whatever. Like everything's just got cheaper and easier. And the only thing that's stopping you doing that is like some sort of excuse that you give yourself so that you can't do it, or you could just be really busy and in debt, and that's a lot of people, unfortunately, which I think is the major issue in society.
But where's like, people who say that they're busy, and I'm busy, I've got a lot going on. Most people listening probably would say they're busy, but also where is your attention going? Because I'm quite happy to say, there are days when I feel like I've been busy, but I've probably been on social media a lot, and some days I just go, no, put Freedom on, app blocker for the full day, and go, no, I don't have headspace for that. In fact, I think the rest of today and tomorrow might be that, because I've got lots of articles to write. So often in a workshop, I say to people, like, where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your money? And they'll be like, oh, with family, at work, da da da. And I say, okay, let's look at your phone.
So
let's look at your bank balance. Yeah, look at your screen time.
Is it?
What are you actually doing?
Like, no.
Yeah. One of the mums at soccer said she's taken all social media apps off her phone, and she suddenly feels like she's got tons of time. She's bored. She's baking more. There's something to do.
That's it.
So a lot of it is how busy we make our brains as opposed to how busy we actually are.
I think that's true. I mean, this is like I remember Tim Ferriss used to talk about this a lot, where it's like, everybody thinks I'm just this like hyper optimized person that only works 4 hours a week, and like I love and hate that title and all the rest of it. But it's not like that. I have like massive bouts of depression. I mean, I'm talking there's things that he said, it's not me necessarily, but like he would talk about having like massive bouts of depression and like having like weeks where he just can't move anything along, and then he'll have like moments like inspiration strikes and he's in that zone and he just gets stuff done.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like how I feel like at the moment with like when the energy's there, a lot gets done. And like, that's the beauty of it. And then I can put it down for a minute and then come back to it later, because again, I've got this like scaffolding and framework of things that help me build things now that I've built for myself. Very meta. But like, the team, as it were, helps pick me back up and get up to speed on the thing that I haven't done for a couple of weeks. Because I'm like, that's interesting again now, let's go and do it. And then the amount of output, like, shit, I can do more than I used to be able, because it's really hard to scale a team as well. Like, you can get a lot done with 2 or 3 people. You can get, obviously you can get a lot of output out of 10,000 people, like with Facebook or something, but most of it's just fucking waste. Like, nothing happens. Like, but I feel like I'm delivering more stuff than I would have done with a team of 10 or 20 people. It's more fun, it's more engaging, I'm more hands-on in every aspect of it. Like, we're talking a lot recently about OODA loops as being like do you know about this? This is like the I think it was the US Air Force is where it originates, but from fighter pilots, talking about like, you have this loop where you observe, orient, decide and act, and then you have very quick OODA loops in that sort of situation. So you need to remove things that stop you processing that loop and support you in doing it. And like, so the OODA loop is kind of like, okay, well, what am I trying to achieve? Like, okay, well, so I observe something's happened, I orient, I decide, and I act, and then I should be responding to that again almost straight away. And like, in software development, that might have been weeks previously, and now it's like 2 minutes. And like, it's kind of funny because, a lot of these models are trained on stuff that it was out in media, and it's got its timelines based on like human timelines. And it'll say, oh yeah, here's your plan. It's a 6-week plan, and like the first 2 weeks we're going to do this, and the next 2 weeks we're going to do this. And next time it's like, okay, can you give it to another model and say, can you do this? And it just goes, yeah. And then it goes away for like half an hour, and then it comes back and goes, done. And you're like, all right, that's a 6-week plan in like 5 minutes. That's
so you can get it out,
so
ship
intense.
it more quickly.
Well, and it creates like, well, what happens is then you'll look at it and you go, okay, like that bit is not what I expected, because now you have to be quite intense on the testing of the thing. You say, that's the bit that it's not quite right, but we can make that 1 point adjustment and now everything's fine. Or maybe like you end up in a bit of a loop. If you end up in a loop, it's just throw it away and start again. Start point was pretty wrong, but like, you can do, it's amazing like how quick that is. And like, that would be true of writing. You can get feedback. You don't necessarily have to send a book to an editor. I don't know if like you did any of this or not, but like, you wouldn't necessarily have to send a book to an editor. You can just get stuff done. You're writing a blog post, you can get new ideas. You can move through these loops and these iterations so fast that when you're in the moment to do something, the stuff gets done. And like, one of my problems, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Andy, it's like just finishing stuff. Because I'll have enormous energy for new ideas, and then there's another new idea, and then there's another new idea. And this is almost a bit of an issue. It's like, fuck, I can move so much quicker on these new ideas that they drag more energy over there. So then it's like, how do I rein myself in and remember to finish stuff off? But again, this can help me with that, because it's like, all right, here's my process for how I need to finish the stuff off and how I need to get it out there, and just do those tasks for me, and can help you through those tasks or remind you that you're not doing them.
Yeah, I think it's quite easy to convince yourself that you know how to do something. But until you've done it, then there's no kind of proof that you're capable.
I mean, another point that you reminded me of earlier was around, like, it's kind of like how humans act with each other. It's like in that social manner. Like, it's, because we had this as a comment on YouTube maybe a couple of weeks ago, and someone said like, oh, but if you guys are doing all this automation, like, why would you work together? You're not scared that like you won't need each other? And it's like, well, I mean, we just work together because it's nicer to work with somebody else, frankly. Like, and I think this opens up that opportunity to have, like, if every person is in effect like a 10-man team, like, you don't necessarily need to work with other people, but all of a sudden you can just choose to work with other people. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to find a few people that also understand all this stuff, and we'll just work together and build stuff, because it's just more interesting to have several of us doing it, and to bounce off each other a little bit, get that human input for what we do want. That still feels like it's there, get them to try stuff out, share the excitement, share the energy. Because again, like, it's, like, where are you going to draw that energy from? Like, if there's not.
Yeah, that reminds me of Johann Hari's book, Lost Connections.
That Johann Hari,
who endorsed my book.
as quoted on the
Yeah.
front of this book.
Yeah.
Excellent win
I'll
there.
have to
getting
share the story of how that came about. But in his book, Lost Connections, he talks about how important it is to be among other people for our mental health. And by pulling away from community, we have a lot of other issues that are coming up around loneliness, anxiety, depression, but not just being among people, because you can be around people and still feel lonely, but having like that shared sense of purpose is really important. And just going back to your reflection loops, or the OODA loops that you were referring to, I think a lot about this in terms of how people work and the importance of having those check-ins with yourself throughout the day. And whether it's what I referred to last week in a session as a fridge cigarette, so going to get a Diet Coke, like just going for a walk to the fridge, or going to get coffee. Someone said to me recently, going out for coffee is the new like ciggy break, because you go outside, you go for a walk. It's that moment of connection with someone one-on-one. But things
it's almost a shame that we're not happy to just like have people walk outside and just stare at the sun.
Yeah,
like that should
you
be
feel
normal.
like you need an excuse. I loved it yesterday. Was it yesterday, the day before we got back, and our daughter had the front door open, and we were like, "Where have you been?" She's like, "I've been grounding on the grass out front." I was like, "Wow, I like this." Yeah, people feel like they need a reason. Oh, it's to help my ADHD or something that I've got to go for a walk. But no, actually, we should be building into our day moments of, like literally kind of sensory change or physical movement or something to help be like circuit breakers. And then you can have those check-ins with yourself to go, what have I been doing? How's that going? I'm a big fan of the after-action review structure. Like what happened, what was meant to happen, why was there a difference? And just doing that by yourself about your morning, about your week. And then, when you have a big holiday, taking those big sort of time to switch off and reflect away from the noise of daily life. It's really, really good for humans to do, whether it's around your mood or strategically, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I behaving in a way that I would feel proud of, that aligns with my values? All of these things are really important to reflect on. Go like, is this the route I want to take? I often use the analogy of like swimming from Cottesloe to Rottnest, because if you just get in and swim and keep moving forward, or what you think is forward, you don't know. Yeah, you're going to drift around. Whereas just
swim
like
about 50 k's,
getting your head out of the water and going, right, am I still going in the right direction? Is really important to just take that moment to check in.
I always felt that was one of the things that, like, reasons I didn't fail so much at triathlon swims is because we did like a year where I never swam in the pool, and I only swam with Shelley down in Matilda Bay. And so I did all my swimming open water, which made me good at like dealing with other people in the water, which was always a useful skill. But also sighting, and I'd sight aggressively, and so I would mostly take the shortest path. And so I was, being a Brit in Australia, obviously a crap swimmer amongst the locals, like they're all fish.
Yes.
But like I wouldn't lose as much ground as I should have done potentially, because I could at least swim fucking straight.
Yeah.
After that, yeah.
Well, that's it, right? So it's not about doing more faster. It's about make sure you're doing the right thing at the right pace to do it well for whatever that task is. There's no point being more productive if you're not doing something useful.
It's like my deadlift went up by about 50% after I started using a pole on my back to get my hinge
You did look like a funny chicken dance doing that. But it's helped you, right?
Well, yeah, it's like huge payoff. And I was like, well, it doesn't necessarily seem correct that was the limiting factor. That was like, no, I just need to like grunt more and be more aggressive or something. But it's like, no, I just needed to actually understand how to engage my glutes and hamstrings properly in the process. It's like, all right,
slow down.
Okay,
to
maybe I
speed
need
up.
to just slow. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that the Navy saying? Was it smooth is slow is smooth is fast?
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, but
It sounds like a Jocko thing.
Yeah, my workshop's called Slow Down to Speed Up, and I think that kind of strategic thinking that you do when you get a bit of quiet. And I was reading some research the other day, and it said even just 2 minutes of silence can be like amazing to reset your thinking, check in with your body, reduce tension in your body, just so much good stuff. And when you think about how much time we spend looking at a screen or listening to something in our ears, and it's not to say we shouldn't ever do that, but it's making sure that there is some time in the day that's just quiet time. I often say, like, busy is the enemy of strategy. Like, you need those moments to step back and think, you know, this is where I am, where do I want to be, and what's the best way to get there?
Maybe going for like a 4-hour walk.
Maybe, maybe. But I think most people would say, I don't have time to do a 4-hour walk.
It's because they're doing their own work like a caveman instead of having a nice little robot do it for you.
But, you know, I was saying just yesterday about that ability to think about your thinking.
Yeah.
If you're in system 1, automatic reactive way of thinking, which is 95% of the time, depending what you read, it's hard to catch that thought beneath your thinking where you go, oh, I don't know, I'm grumpy because it's the time of the month. Or I'm probably being biased here because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how ridiculous some of the cognitive biases we have are. Someone said to me last week, I was wearing my yellow Onitsuko Tiger trainers, and her husband wears the same trainers, and she texted him during the workshop saying, oh, the facilitator's got the same shoes as you, and he texts back saying, she must be a good facilitator, I bet she's amazing. Which is kind of funny, right? But
why is he wearing girls' shoes?
They're not girls' shoes.
They
Just
look like
Uma
girls'
Thurman
shoes.
No, they're cool. They're Bruce Lee shoes as well. Yeah, like the biases we hold. But to catch yourself and go, I mean, that's a really silly reason to think somebody's good at their job. But
well,
still,
you know, people like
influenced
people
her
like
thinking.
them, right? Like
Exactly. So I think one of the foundations for good critical thinking together is that connection that you have with the other person. And I do worry a bit long term about how people are going to relate to each other when they don't have the practice. Like, there's a lot of research to show that the young people who missed out on some of their formative years of, like, in face-to-face connection because of lockdown and stuff,
that was awful.
are struggling because our relationships are the most important thing in life in terms of our health, longevity, happiness.
I mean, I do honestly think this is going to be amazing as technology for getting rid of that. I know it doesn't feel like it at the moment, but it does mean you don't have to be. Like, I honestly don't understand when more people aren't building tools that'll let you go for a walk while you do this stuff. But I have, like, again, like several people in mind. I'm like, you are going to love this. Like, I know you just want to be walking the whole time.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to. Like, if you're not doing the work, it's not important that you need to sit in the office anymore. And you don't have to do the work. So just change the way you do this stuff, and it's going to give you so much more time and opportunity to talk, to think, to connect with other people, to just go and experience shit, to figure out what's going on and like your own place in the world, or reflect on strategy and stuff like that. I think it's going to be great. Like, I mean, you are aware I'm going to be, you know, disappearing to an island with a bunch of people to fix the internet.
Yes.
But like in the middle of that, there's like, I believe we're just going to take off into the mountains for a week to get away from technology, to think about what we should build.
Jealous.
It
So
sounds
jealous.
amazing, doesn't it? But
It does.
it's like, but this is the thing, that when it becomes like almost free to build something, like what you build matters so much more. Because if you just build a bunch of stuff that nobody needs, it was all still waste. Even if it was very quick waste, you know, it was all pointless. And this is the great enemy of most like good ideas, is that they never actually get executed. You know, I had a good idea that was effectively Facebook before I learned about Facebook. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, I mean, I couldn't have
Mark Zuckerberg levels of
well,
wealth.
I mean, because he's a robot. Like, it's just going to do the stuff, like insane and a psychopath, and all other problems that come along with that. But you know, you just don't want to be in that situation. But like it's you know, like it's ideas don't mean shit. But then, you know, the ability to execute on them and getting that cheaper, it's going to unlock an awful lot for a lot of people. It's also great, this is tangent, but like a big win of like open source and like or Creative Commons type work is that it is then freely reusable in a way that we can build on it quickly with these machines. So, you know, like a lot of people in enterprise IT will worry about like, oh, I can't use this LLM with my code base because it's going to leak something out to OpenAI and they'll steal it. Whereas, you know, that's like the Virgin enterprise IT guy in the meme, and then the Chad open sourcer is just like lol, like it's all on the internet anyway. Who gives a fuck? Just give me the best thing. Let's move quick.
Yeah.
And like it's going to be so quick to build these things on open platforms so quickly that we are absolutely going to win. And we're going to fix the internet. And we're going to take it all back from Zuckerberg. And fuck him. So I will eventually win that battle. Not that he knows that we're competing. Right. Although he's actually doing some good stuff for open source these days.
That's good.
Because he lost to somebody else. So that's the beauty of it. It's the playbook is if you lose ground to somebody else, you open source their thing so that they don't have like a monetary advantage over you. It's good.
Well, it's been a funny journey with the IP thing actually, because as my friend Alex Bukowski said when she read the book, like, friend of the pod, can we say that?
You've got to say that every time you mention somebody, and then you're supposed to tag them afterwards. So
okay.
We haven't.
I should have a little list.
I need to get Wingman up and running to do that.
Wingman can tell us all the people we mentioned.
I could give him access to like.
Yeah. But Alex said to me, she really enjoyed reading it, and also that a lot of my good stuff was in there, some of my best ideas, and it's like a distillation of all the models and analogies and things that I've created over the past 5 years.
Because it looks nice.
Dale's done a marvelous job on the design of it, hasn't he? But you know, there's a little bit of fear.
Well, he's just
putting
the
it
AI
out there.
agent. You know, it's the person that was creating the ideas.
No, Dale's done a great job. Friend of the pod. But putting it all together and being like, oh, here's my best ideas, have them for $35. It's like, whoa.
I still think you may be billing it a bit cheap, but I don't understand the pricing.
Fair enough. And it's quite scary doing that.
I would pay $256 for that.
Is that it?
There's only certain numbers I'm allowed. There's 21, 6.15, and 256.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, you have to approach it with an abundance mindset, and you know, I already am making new things to solve new client problems are being brought to me. So.
Exactly. I hate it when people like try and sit on these ideas and be like, oh,
yeah,
giving away your ideas. It's like, yeah, but then you get a new one.
Yeah.
Once you get that one out of your head and fuck it off, you get a better one.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you just sat on the same old stale ideas.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
So the Human Edge 2.0 will be appearing at some point, maybe with a new name, because so many things are called the Human Edge at the moment.
It does seem like a name of the moment, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's okay.
I think it's a good, appropriate name. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and I really do believe that critical thinking, the ability to think through your decisions, and bring that awareness of like, I chose this, you know, at some point. Even from a kind of mindfulness perspective, you know, there's a bit of a thing around rather than saying, I have to do this. It's like, I get to do this. I was cleaning the car last weekend and I was like, vacuuming the car, giving it a wipe. And I'm like, I get to clean my car. I chose a very small car by having a chimney that I can clean with like a wet wipe, basically. But I'm really proud of that thing in my life. Like, I really like it. So I get to, you know, same with anything to do with the kids. You know, like, oh, I have to go and read a bedtime story. It's like, I get to. And how lucky am I? And I'm a bit obsessed at the moment with a Kurt Vonnegut quote around saying, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. So sitting here with you, watching the ocean roll
or the car park, because I have to.
Because I got the good seat, but watching the waves crash, hearing them, being with you, recording the podcast, having this conversation.
In your beautiful red dress.
In my lovely red dress. Like, if
every
this
now and
isn't
again,
nice,
just punching the air for some reason.
I don't know what it is. I'm dancing. For those just listening, my little avatar is very active.
I think the reason that is because I was thinking, all right, I need to create one of these avatars. Usually Andy does them, but I was like, oh, all right, I'll just have a quick look in the avatar thing, and there's a woman in there, and it's because he created a Sydney Sweeney avatar for his little platform thing.
Because she looks just like me.
So
right?
I converted that one. I said, maybe put her in as a red dress. So we got a red dress, but because on one of them she jumps, she's got her hands in the air, so I think that's why it just
feels a bit like
generated a bit. But I needed to get it done quick.
A BBC computer game in like early 90s.
That's the vibe. It's
and
like
I don't know I don't know the controllers right.
Weirdly, the background, like the ocean, is like impeccable. It's like it's a proper like high def ocean scene.
Oh wow.
And then everything else is just like 8-bit sprites.
I like it.
I like the vibe. Like, I think it's good.
It reminds me of playing Larry the Lounge Lizard.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I
dad's
don't know that one.
ABC. Oh, it was terrible. He would go around picking up prostitutes and smoking.
Oh, that sounds like Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
it. Yeah.
You used to play that?
Yeah, I was about like 9 years old.
I used to ask you like obscure facts about stuff that you wouldn't know as like a 10-year-old. Was the way age
the
verification?
way to get in was, the question was, what is Gone with the Wind? And there was answers like the greatest film ever made, an Oscar-winning masterpiece, or about 3 hours too long. And we figured out that it was about 3 hours too long was the correct answer, and that got us into this. I mean, the animation was a similar quality to this, right? So you didn't see anything bad happening.
Yeah, I think of it as like Monkey Island.
We thought it was amazing to be doing this
perverted,
very naughty game.
Yeah. It is kind of famous for that age verification thing. It still comes up every now and again.
Ah, there we go.
Circles, but.
Yeah. I mean, how they're going to do age verification with the social media ban will be very interesting.
I think even in the UK they introduced it, and they had these face scans, and all the kids were going and getting face scans from some computer game that would generate avatars for you, which is a bit always.
Well, I think listening to your podcast a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about like we're just creating a generation that are going to figure out ways to get around it.
Yep.
And I don't know, there's just so many nuances to the argument anyway. And while I'm like, do you know what? We've all got agency.
There's not as evil.
Oh, it's not evil.
It is.
The intention is not
the
bad.
intention is a lie, and then the action.
What's the
evil.
intention as far as you perceive it?
Well, the stated intention is that you're protecting kids from misinformation. That's not the
from
intention.
misinformation.
Disinformation, incorrect things, wrong thing. I mean, they're banning YouTube. Like, it's not like it's not even. It's not like it's porn. It's YouTube.
But yeah,
it's
I
Facebook.
mean, but is that?
This is what they
This
stated.
is why the
That's
what's
what
it for
the
is so
e-safety
important,
commissioner was saying.
right? Is that what it's about?
That's what they're
misinformation.
It's a control of the information.
The
It's evil.
answer there is not like removing it completely.
No.
Steph Simmons runs CritiKid, which is all about critical thinking training for children, and she made a great point the other day. It's like it's like anything, right? If you keep your kids away from it, and then boom, when they turn 16, they have full-on access, then they're not going to know how to handle it. So it's sitting down together and watching something together and going, what do you think's going on here? Because if I see an advert or you see an advert, we know that the advert is trying to sell you something, right?
No, we don't. We're worse at the internet than kids. Like, it's to assume that kids are bad at the internet compared to their adults.
Well, yeah, right.
Like, it's just not true.
So, and we saw it, I think, early doors when they got off like Netflix and ABC Kids and using YouTube, and then they'd quote adverts back at us and be like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. That's bad for you, Mum."
I remember
where have you heard that?
Arriving in Australia, and obviously and the guy I was working with at the time, saying to me we were going to go out, and he said, "Oh, maybe we should get a burger," and then he just afterwards went, we should go to Hungry Jack's. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's. And I was like, hang on a minute, that's the advert. You can't say that verbatim. Like, can you mix it up a little bit? It's just so absent-minded.
But those things that we internalise them, right? We were laughing. The kids had made up a little jingle for Selly's wood glue yesterday. And I can still quote you John Williams Windows phone number, which is a North Wales Windows company, which I believe is still going.
John Hughes sells
0800 66 0055 is their phone number. We know this stuff isn't true, but if it's memorable and it stays in your brain, up to a point you start to believe it, right? And so one thing that I often do in workshops is get people to either find a belief that they've changed and discuss that and what was the process and how did it happen, or if they're feeling really brave, confront one that they kind of know they need to update, but for whatever reason they're clinging to it, right? And I liken it to getting in the ocean on the south coast, like in Denmark, and I was down visiting Anime, friend of the pod, when I was thinking about this, and it's exactly like, well, it's not exactly like, but it's the analogy I use is like you're on the beach and you're looking out, I don't know, blue turquoise seas of like Esperance, Denmark, Albany, and you go, oh, that looks nice, and then you put your toe in, and it's fucking cold. Like,
Bitterly cold, yeah. Arctic.
And it's a bit like you're in this comfortable space where something you believe is true, is kind of serving you for whatever reason, but you kind of know that you might be wrong, you might need to update it. So you dip your toe in and you go, oh, it's a bit uncomfortable, but maybe I should go further. I want to go in. And you have that choice, right? You can stay in your comfortable belief and just deny. And this is what confirmation bias is all about, right? Sort of unconsciously keeping us safe and comfortable and correct in our belief. Or you can choose to go in, and I say that bit where it like hits your bits. When I give this talk and stuff, everyone in the audience does this, ooh, yeah, it hits your bits, and you're like, oh god, this is really uncomfortable, but I know that embracing this new truth is gonna lead me to growth or a new opportunity or open up my thinking, and it's important that I do it, but fuck, it hurts.
But you just go, yeah.
And once you're in the sea at Denmark and you're swimming around, it's fine, it's lovely. But it takes courage to cross over that line and go,
you got to go deep.
Maybe I was wrong. Yeah. And that's hard. And that can be about your identity. You know, you and I have both gone through quite a few career transitions. So every time you're approaching a new task and you're getting that like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And then you try it and you go, oh, okay, that was all right. And then you go further and you're like, oh, now I'm in this, you know, introducing myself as an author. You know, I want to stay on the beach with that. That's really uncomfortable to be like, oh, I'm an author. Because the imposter in me is going, well, I wasn't with a publishing company, I just made it. But the reception that it's getting is commensurate with any published book. It just doesn't have the machinery behind it.
I don't think you get the machinery anyway, unless you're actually like accomplished, and you kind of have to do all your own stuff anyway to get to that point.
It's more the distribution network that you would get if it was published by you know, a major house. But you know, I remember Christmas parties when I left teaching and you were like, oh, tell people you're training, you're doing corporate training, and I was like, oh. Whereas now that's what I do. I help people think better together. That's my job.
You're just dropping your tagline.
Yeah, I do. But it's true, right? I've been doing it for 5 years. So it's kind of funny when people haven't seen me for a while and they're like, oh, how's your little business going? And I'm like, you mean my livelihood that I have a company car for and a website and a book and like
Billy Big Bollocks.
But no, I'm just stating
you should
facts,
be you should
right?
be proud of it.
Just stating facts of like, this is my truth now, this is my reality. God, that sounds really wanky.
It did, yeah. You say you can just do things. That's the way we say it in an offhand way.
Right. But you can, right? You absolutely can.
That said, the evil thing about that stuff is just that like it's not saying that kids shouldn't be careful about what they see on the internet, and that we should all be a bit careful about what we see on the
totally.
internet. It's just that you can always tell who's evil because they're the one burning the books, or they're the one telling you can't read the thing. Like it's that level of control of saying like, you are not allowed to do this, you are not allowed, your kids are not allowed to do that. It's like, I'm the parent of our kids. Yeah. Like I will decide what they can and can't see, and this is already not a problem for my kids. Like they know where the boundaries are, and they know that there's certain things they're not allowed to see, and when they cross those boundaries, there's punishment. I don't believe we need to break the internet and insist that everybody has their face recorded every 15 minutes in order to make this a thing, because that's not what it's about. It's not about controlling anything that the kids see.
And I think engaging with the stuff that you really disagree with, it's important.
Exactly.
Right?
It's
you
about
need to be
creating a norm
aware
that it is okay for the government to dictate what you see and what ideas you're allowed to be exposed to. I think that is highly dangerous, and it won't. It's going to be so easy to work around, but the point is to create the norm.
Yeah.
not to make it impossible.
Yeah.
If you can control the norms, you control almost everything about society. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And like, we shouldn't have a few select people in control of society. It should be a broadly rough consensus of all the people that exist in society.
It's something that I think about quite regularly. It's just this, like, the danger of kind of deleting and like cancel culture, like oh, you can't have that, you can't talk about that on this campus or whatever.
Luckily I cancelled myself out of most of society, so I don't have to worry about that.
There's an organisation
Specifically,
called Heterodox Academy, which is based out of America, and it's academics who advocate for engaging in some of those challenging spaces. Because I don't know, someone like Andrew Tate, people are like, oh, he's awful. It's like, well, I can see why, having watched some of his stuff. There are some messages of his that are good, like, and there's a lot of stuff about him that are awful.
You're gonna get cancelled, mate.
Well, I know,
So this is the
right?
thing.
But same in America, right? So they're saying, oh, we need to get rid of any book which is not in alignment with how the current administration wants people to think. And you go, well, it's the people who read Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, that understood what he was trying to do and where he was coming from, and they read that early to go, oh, right, this is someone we should watch, you know? So throwing everything out and saying, nobody read this. It's like, know thy enemy, right? Understand if your kid was watching something, you know, what are they being drawn to? I've seen Bonnie Blue everywhere because every mainstream publication is talking about it. It's like, whoa, everyone's giving her a lot of oxygen right now, a lot of attention, and you're just driving more people to look at her stuff by sort of elevating her. The Economist ran a piece on it, and there was all this debate about, this is porn, why is it on The Economist? It's like, well, porn is a huge industry. But if you...
That's not why it's on there, though. They're just trying to sell magazines.
But people that just go, oh, she's horrible. You're like, well, but why is she so popular? Why is she getting so much attention? What is it clicking in humans that you don't like, but it's part of human nature? And yeah, you know, she's very, very clever at marketing something that makes people incredibly uncomfortable. But just kind of going, la, 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 it doesn't exist, is not helpful at all.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Yay, we agree, yay!
It is. Yeah, like I just wanted to make the point about the censorship stuff, because I think it's the most abhorrent thing that's just accepted. It's like, I find it terrible.
Anything that people are looking at fills a need. Typically, you go, well, what's the need there? Why are people drawn to it? Whether it's politics or whatever. And I have a little, what do you call those, bell diagram, something like that in the book. And you go, most people, most of the time,
distribution.
most people, most of the time are just trying to get by, trying to be good people, trying to make money, trying to live. And then there's this like minority on the outer curve that are just like loud, noisy, controversial,
Annoying,
triggering emotions in people, whether it's annoyance or hate or whatever, that get a lot of attention. Oh my God, the amount of crap that deliberately winds people up just to get the comments, so people get in and get the comments. You go, wow. I forget who the quote is now, but the only thing, Oscar Wilde, I think it is, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. And
friend of the pod, Oscar Wilde.
yeah. But it's quite scary to me what's gone on for people, that they don't care what attention they're getting, they just want attention. And the dopamine, I mean, you know, the dopamine hit from likes and comments and interactions is real, but it's a very shallow way to feel good for a very short period of time.
Right. This is where, like, Nostr is the place to go to, because there's just like, and it's not even that there's no algorithm in Nostr, but you can choose what you want your algorithm to be, and you have selections and you can make your own. And like, obviously that's a little bit more involved than some people, but you know, soon that'll be, you just tell something what you want your algorithm to be, and it'll just create it for you. But it is like, social media is I think one of the most impressive things that we've developed. I think it's a net good for society. I think we hear so much about why it's bad because it does undermine a lot of existing power structures that would prefer not to be undermined. But the way that we engage with a lot of the algorithms and how it's monetized, like, is a problem. And so what you need is that should be an individual decision. It's like, I had a weird thing come into my head this morning, actually, which is I decided that, you know what, I think maybe we are just one big intergalactic consciousness, and that we're all maybe part of the same thing. But
so this is my truth. Sounded a bit woo-woo. This is even more so.
well, look, we're into the end of the, this is the final like vinegar strains here, so we can go a while with whatever we want. But we're all embodied separately. So why would that be? And so, well, maybe it is just the best way to make decisions and to try stuff out and come to agreement on like what actually works, is to take this big intergalactic consciousness and just split it up into separate bodies and say, all right, just look after your own shit, and then what we'll do is we'll aggregate it all back together and see what sticks. And that is kind of how society works and progresses, is we come up with new stuff because some crazy fucker over here tried something new, and everyone's like, fuck, that works. And then we all adopt it over time. And it's this just like rough consensus of picking stuff up as we go. Like, all of the worst things in society come from people top down trying to just dictate how you should be, but it being outside of your natural state. Like, it's the communism, it's the starving 100 million people in China, it's the Holodomor, it's all of that, it's the Holocaust. Like, all of these things are the worst things in society, and they were all dictated top down. None of the people like at the bottom up would have come up with these as ideas and forced them on everybody else, because everyone said, this isn't working, dickhead. Like, it's when we like get these structures of power that can force that on people that it's the issue. But yeah, I did wonder if, like, well, maybe that is just like, if we were a big intergalactic consciousness or interdimensional thing, maybe the best thing to do is you split it up, because it's how it's how markets work, it's how you get better at stuff. Like, all learning is somebody tries something, tests it, and goes, didn't work. I won't keep doing that. And somebody finds something that does work, they keep doing it. It's, you need error correction.
Sorry, this is an interesting point. I'm a bit like,
What do I say about this? Buy my book.
I feel like Andy at this point would use the word, is it fiduciary? That's one of his favourite words.
Is it what?
No, have I made that up?
I don't think he says fiduciary. That's an odd word.
What's the word he says? I remember I had to Google it.
So now it's okay. So now it's, on this audio podcast, you sit there and Google stuff.
I can't remember what the word is.
I don't think he says fiduciary.
No. Oh, damn it! I was trying to remember what it was.
There was a few words. We used to have a good couple of drinking words that would come up.
Oh, okay.
Just be like, all right, drink.
For something else. Yeah, I mean, we're all made of stardust, right? So we'll all kind of work together we'll get there in the end.
I think, yeah, I do wonder. Maybe if we take enough psychedelics that we'll all realise that we're all the same. I've probably been listening to too much Joe Rogan recently.
Probably, yeah.
But like, it was, I don't know. There's something there.
That sounds kind of nice.
I do feel like we're not as disconnected, but it's not that we should all act as one.
Yeah.
It's like maybe we're all connected, but we're supposed to act inside our own realm. It's like, okay, we each get our own little bit to focus on, and if we all focus on that, then actually the whole does better, because we share the good ideas and we get rid of the bad ideas. They're weeded out quite early. Whereas if you make a whole society go down a bad path, things go very dark. Like, that's when you get the hundreds of millions of people dying at a time. Whereas, like, one person can never do that much harm.
I think I wrote down, you said like a consensus.
You wrote down fiduciary. Like, don't lie. Like, I can see it. It's written down.
I was trying to remember what the thing was. But you said about consensus, and I think what I worry about sometimes is how combative things can feel, particularly in the online world. And, that's why I see connection and communication as an important part of critical thinking, is that appreciation for someone else's experience and their life and their values and why they do what they do. And again, if you can explain how you're thinking about something, in a way that someone else can appreciate. You go, oh, right, I understand you better now. I appreciate where you're coming from. And again, you know, we're often a bit too busy to do that, or we don't feel comfortable taking that risk. And this is why social skills are so important, that ability to build rapport with someone so you can get to a point where you feel comfortable to have those conversations, because so often we don't, right? I feel like sometimes, you know, we'll go to funeral for one of our neighbours, for example, and then you get this life story of somebody that you've only known as a very old person, and you see, oh wow, like they went through some shit, you know, left a war situation, or you know, had a real difficult upbringing, or whatever it might be, and you go, oh yeah, that snapshot that I see is just the tiniest scratch on the surface of who that person is. So I think it's a really nice place to be as a facilitator, that I can give permission for people to ask some more interesting questions, whether that be of a person or a situation or a decision that's being made, to get to some better answers.
And you can just be nice to people. Like, you don't have to be a dickhead about stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can say please to your AI. You can be nice to people.
I sometimes think I operate in a delusional place where I'm like, there's no reason for somebody.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's call it that. I carry on. Sorry.
But my assumption is, when I'm meeting someone new, that they will like me because I'm a likable person. Okay. Right? Yeah. Which sounds a bit like nuts.
You are
but
quite likable.
It's a very useful delusion to
useful, not true, as Derek Sivers would say.
Yeah. It's a wonderful place to be, because I think, well, if somebody doesn't like me, it's because they don't know me. They haven't taken the time to get to know me, and that's fine. But it means that I go in assuming that I'm going to like them as well. And so I look for the good in them. And I get to meet hundreds of people through my work all the time, and I like them. I can appreciate them as people, and I get to ask them questions and find out things about them that help me appreciate who they are and what their experience is and why they do what they do. So maybe I see the best in humanity because I look for the best. But yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, sometimes you don't agree with people, but you can still like them.
Yeah.
Gonna go look up what that word is. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, and Andy, if you're in the comments,
Well, if he's got this far in, he's done well.
All right, let's call it there. That's the good stuff.
The good stuff. Thanks, Pete.